Hi there. I don't know if this is too loud. First of all, I apologise. I'm going to talk about motorsport, which is something I'm incredibly passionate about, believe it or not. And the other one's driver safety. But rather than doing a speed and speed, it's more of a case study about what we're doing at the moment as Smart Witness and where we're going in the future. That's me. So what we're talking about is from the track to the street. Sorry, I got myself there. So the FIA. We're in the UAE. How many people here have heard of the FIA? No one? I think someone's telling a lie. It's all right, we all know who the FIA are. So the FIA traditionally was established in 1904. They are the oldest, most prestigious racing body in the world. Originally, they came about for the interest of the motor organisations and the motor users themselves. Moving forward to 2022, most of you have actually heard of Formula One, right, which is obviously very, very huge. But in fact, there's over 27 racing disciplines for the FIA with 30 sub-disciplines. And these are the second biggest watched FIA sport, believe it or not, is the European truck racing. And for those of you who don't know what the European truck racing is, it's quite a phenomenon. These are between 5.2 and 5.5 ton tractor fronts with 3 tons at the front end, that go round circuits such as Hungaroring, Nürburgring, Le Mans, where we've just come from, which are actually limited to 100 miles an hour. Physically, the trucks are not limited to 100 miles an hour because you get penalised because you can go much faster than that. But for health and safety reasons, they cap it to 100. So where does Sensata Smart Witness fit into it? We provide leading video telematics technology to the ETRC, supporting the official judiciary review for the FIA and also in-cab driver experience for the people that are watching it at home. So I would have liked to have shown you a video, but I believe that it's going to be cause a little bit of issue for when it's actually online. But I'll give you an idea. So this is what it looks like. Now, our CP2 cameras are actually installed on the roll bar. So the roll bar, depending on what side of the truck that you're actually driving on, actually sits at a driver eye view behind the head of the driver. And what this does, it actually gives you a full view of what's happening in front and what's happening actually on the track. But the main thing is as well, it's not only seeing what's happening in front, so the FIA can have quick pulled footage to see exactly what's going on in incidents. It's actually to also look at the hands of the drivers, because believe it or not, drivers cheat. So by being able to see their hands, what you can do is in truck racing, you're allowed to what they call kiss. So you can have a little nudge. What you're not allowed to do is actually drive someone off the track. So and you can tell by what people's intentions are actually by seeing the hands. So if they go multiple times, it's generally an avoidance maneuver. So that's really how it works in the multiple race sessions. So how do the FIA use our cameras and why? Well, they established us actually in the British truck racing, which isn't FIA accredited. What they'd previously been doing with those video footage, you had like an SD card. We all know traditional dash cams, right? So you had to get the SD card in, you then had to go to a computer. Just imagine doing that in a race. Races are average on 25 minutes. You haven't got time to do that. People want answers to what's actually happened, to make a judiciary decision there and then before the race actually finishes. So what they saw us doing in the British truck racing, they saw that we were using connected cameras, very, very high quality, being able to see exactly what was going on at 100 miles an hour. So now move forward in 2020, before the big C word came in, so to speak, we started off the season with our CP2 cameras in the European truck racing. Now 2022, we've just finished off our second season, our second full season, shall we say. And what we do is we make things easier for the stewards, because as you can imagine, I'm not the perfect person to be running from race control while we're pulling footage into Parc Fermé, pulling out SD cards. So what we do is we look at the modified behaviours of the drivers, we look at what they're doing, we'll have a steward sitting next to me and also race director Tony Idden. And what they do is we see an incident happening, we see it on the screens in race control, they say, Kim or Nevlin, please could you pull footage showing truck number 24 at such and such time at such and such corner. We automatically go in, we can pull that footage, it's absolutely crystal clear. In truck racing, there is no money. It's got the FIA there, but there is no money. It's all about prestige. These are logistics company that put their money in as a hobby. So it's there about getting it right, and every single point counts. If there's a bad decision made, during a race, it really does come back on the drivers and the teams themselves. By having the perfect crystal clear footage from us, they're able to make those decisions during a race rather than afterwards. So looking at that, so what we can do at 100 miles an hour going around a racetrack, you can imagine that what we can do with fleet managers and driver security in everyday world, you know, is very, very simple. And all of our cameras, not just these, but all of the cameras that we deal with are fully integrated now with the Wylon platform, ready for all of your customers' use. So talk a little bit about our telematics and reporting capabilities. As we all know, that when you've got smart connected cameras, you can have results of incidents in seconds. Our cameras give you reporting capability and the AI, such as G-forces on braking, turning, speeds, fuel consumption, which is becoming incredibly important now every day, distance travelled, reaction times, weather versus driver and driver capability. But it's all conceptual. So by having AI, you've got conceptual data, which means that before, when drivers were penalised for sharp corners, well, I don't know how many of you go to the UK very often, but there's a roundabout every second road, right? And that could be caused on before AI on video telematics. It could be deemed as bad driving. Sharp cornering, when you're heavy on the accelerator, it can tell if you're joining a motorway or not. Therefore, the driver will not be penalised. AI gives you the capability of reducing up to 10 times the instance that traditional telematics cameras would have caught for the driver. So going back to these a little bit more about driver scorecards and how they work. So at ETRC, I speak to a number of logistic companies across Europe. One of the logistics companies is actually from Scotland, who's part of the European Truck Racing Championships. He's got now approximately 1,200 trucks that he uses on the road every day. And one of the most important things for him is cost and driver safety. So how do you bring down costs with driver scorecards? So he's using these. He's found what his perfect 100% of a driver looks like. So the driver scorecards are put together based on this 100%. Now, at 95% or above, his drivers each week will receive a little bit of a bonus. It's called £25 in your back pocket that your wife doesn't know about, which means you can go down the pub when she's not about, or put a little bet on a horse. Then at the end of each month, that goes up to £50. At the end of the quarter, it's £100. And at the end of the year, if you are carrying on doing 95% of what they deem as driver capability, he then gives them £250 at Christmas to take home, to spend on whatever he likes. But if you look at this, what's he actually achieved from this, you're saying, when he's paying people out? Well, depending on the truck and the manufacturer, he can actually save between £15,000 and £20,000 per year on getting better drivers. This is due to reducing tyre degradation. This is reducing heavy braking. We're talking about fuel consumption. And it doesn't matter what country you live around the world at the moment, fuel is going up in pricing. And in the UK, I know that, at one point we got above £2 a litre and everyone was pulling their hair out. But if you can reduce these general costs on an everyday level, it's a massive reduction to businesses, and no one can take away what this can actually do for companies. But then there's a whole health and safety side of this as well. So you're looking at what this producing the perfect driver or a good driver looks like. You can actually look at their driver scorecard and you can go, do you know what? This guy was driving at 96% all of last year. Suddenly, he's dropped down to 86, 87. So, all lower. They look and say, look at the data and analyse it. What's happened to that driver? What has changed with that driver to change the way that he is driving and his scorecard going lower? They'll actually pull the driver in and say, hey, buddy, is there an issue going on? Is there something wrong with the truck you're driving? Is there something going wrong at home? Are you getting enough sleep? Is there something? Are you well? Can we send you for a health check? So this is not just about using a driver scorecard to save the company money. It's actually keeping good drivers, healthy drivers on the road as well. And then also we've got other ways that you can use this as well, not just driver scorecards. You can also use our cameras, multi-DVRs, etc. You've got the capability of using those as security as well. So we're talking about some countries are very precious about having forward-facing cameras, and there's GDPR laws are all different across Europe, which can be incredibly confusing. But we can actually use all this as CCTV as well. So you can have them in the back and also have panic buttons for those in countries where, there can be issues, there can be people stealing or people in and out of transport. There's a panic button that automatically, that software that camera can actually go back and ping that fleet manager and say, hey, I can tell you the location, the time of where your driver is. There is something wrong. You need to check. So, how do we go from the track to the street? And what do we do? And how do we get this analysis and take it back? We look at the data analysis from every single race that we do. We speak to the FIA about incidents and what can be avoided, how we can change things, what other technologies is Sensata that we can bring in. Because obviously my colleague over there, Milan, who's speaking to you later, he comes from the Sergo part of the business. I'm from the Smart Witness part. Next year, we're all going to be part of the same. And all of us have got the capability and are working with Wylon as a group and will be called Sensata Insights. So we use everything that we've got to try and make everything safer. And we test this actually on the track, and we're bringing it back to the streets. So not only can we deliver the right information to the FIA, we can also bring the right information to the end users. And we're on a journey with AI. AI is a learning process. We all know that things are changing so quickly with AI and the capabilities it can use. So although we've got all the standards that everyone else has got, we've got pedestrian collision warnings coming in soon, along with a whole heap of other stuff for Q1. And I'd like to say, and I've done this as quickly as possible, I do apologise, I'm from London, so I can speak 10 times faster than any other person from any other country. I'd like to say we're very proud to be Wylon partners, very, very proud. Alexander did a speech in Lithuania. It's the first time that I'd actually been to a Wylon event, and it was very passionate, a company that puts ethics and people before business. The diversity and the change that they've had to do in the last year, it's been very, very impressive. And so I say from Sensata, we're very proud to be partnering with Wylon, and we look forward to, as our portfolio grows, that we grow with Wylon. So if anyone would like to see a video later on of how the truck racing works, what it looks like, the crashes, the good, the bad, some a little bit scary, please come over and see me, and if there's any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.